Hello, welcome to my channel. Today, Katie's words linger far longer than she intends, echoing in conversations and thoughts like a warning no one can quite shake. What might have sounded like a simple observation at first begins to feel heavier the more it's replayed. There's a subtle shift in tone, a hint of something beneath the surface, that makes people wonder whether she was merely speaking her mind or unintentionally pointing toward something much darker on the horizon. It starts with a moment of honesty. Katie has never been one to completely hold back, especially when she believes someone needs to hear the truth. In a tense discussion, she voices concerns that others might avoid, cutting through optimism with realism. But this time, her words don't just challenge, they unsettle. There's a gravity to them that suggests she sees a path unfolding that others are ignoring. Hope is the first to feel the impact. At first, she brushes off Katie's comment as caution, the kind that comes from experience and protective instinct. But later, when she's alone, the words return. They don't sound like general advice anymore. They sound specific, personal, almost predictive. Hope begins questioning whether she missed something. Did Katie notice a detail no one else did? Was there a warning, hidden in what she said, something that deserves more attention than it received in the moment? The uncertainty plants a seed of unease that's hard to ignore. Brooke reacts differently. She hears Katie's comment and immediately pushes back against it. To Brooke, dwelling on worst-case scenarios only gives them power. She prefers to believe that situations can still be controlled, that outcomes can be guided with the right choices. The idea that something tragic might already be in motion is not something she wants to entertain. But even Brooke can't fully dismiss the tone Katie used. There was something about it that didn't feel casual. It wasn't dramatic for effect. It was grounded, almost resigned, as though Katie wasn't speculating, but recognizing a pattern she's seen before. That's what makes it unsettling. Katie isn't reacting emotionally, she's observing. And Katie has seen enough cycles of conflict to recognize when situations begin to spiral. Meanwhile, others who overheard or later learned about the comment begin forming their own interpretations. Some think Katie is being overly pessimistic, reading too much into events that could still resolve peacefully. Others suspect she may be more perceptive than they realized, picking up on warning signs that haven't become obvious yet. The ambiguity fuels tension. When a statement can be interpreted in multiple ways, it tends to grow in significance. People start connecting it to current events, recent decisions, and ongoing conflicts. It becomes less about what Katie said and more about what it could mean. Hope finds herself watching everything more closely. Conversations feel different now, as if they carry hidden weight. Decisions seem less routine and more consequential. Even small interactions begin to feel like pieces of a larger puzzle she doesn't fully understand yet. That heightened awareness is exhausting. Living with the sense that something could go wrong at any moment changes how she experiences everything. It's not fear exactly, it's anticipation, the kind that makes calm feel temporary. Katie notices the shift in hope and regrets how her words have settled. She didn't intend to create anxiety. Her goal was to encourage awareness, not dread. But she also knows she can't take it back. Once a thought is planted, it grows in its own direction. When Hope finally confronts her about it, asking directly what she meant, Katie struggles to give a simple answer. Because the truth isn't simple. She wasn't predicting a specific event. She was reacting to a pattern, a convergence of tension, pride, and unresolved conflict that often leads to consequences no one initially expects. Katie explains that when emotions escalate and people stop listening to each other, outcomes tend to worsen quickly. It's not about one dramatic moment. It's about a series of choices that narrow possibilities until something breaks. Hope listens carefully, but the explanation doesn't fully ease her concern. If anything, it reinforces the idea that something could be building beneath the surface. The lack of a clear prediction makes it harder to dismiss. It means anything could happen. Elsewhere, the ripple effect continues. People begin referencing Katie's comment in quiet conversations. It becomes a point of speculation. What did she mean? What did she see? Is something already in motion? Some start revisiting recent events through that lens. Conflicts that once seemed manageable now appear more volatile. Decisions that seemed routine now feel risky. The entire atmosphere shifts slightly, as if everyone is bracing for something they can't define. Katie, meanwhile, becomes increasingly aware of the unintended impact she's had. She finds herself choosing words more carefully, aware that even small statements can take on larger meaning in an already tense environment. But restraint doesn't erase what's already been said. Brooke eventually approaches Katie again, this time more quietly. Instead of arguing, she asks whether Katie truly believes something bad is coming. The question is direct, but the answer isn't. Katie admits she doesn't know what will happen. She only knows that when emotions, power struggles, and unresolved history collide, the outcome is rarely simple or harmless. That's what she was trying to express, not certainty but concern. Brooke absorbs that and walks away unsettled. She doesn't want to believe in inevitable tragedy, but she also can't deny that the current situation feels unstable. Too many tensions are overlapping. Too many people are pushing in different directions without compromise. Hope begins taking small steps in response to her unease. She becomes more cautious in conversations, more deliberate in decisions. She pays closer attention to how others are acting, looking for signs that confirm or disprove the feeling that something is off. This vigilance starts to influence her behavior in subtle ways. She hesitates before making bold moves. She questions whether certain risks are worth taking. She tries to anticipate outcomes rather than simply react. In a way, Katie's words have made her more aware but also more burdened. At the same time, others interpret Katie's comment in entirely different ways. Some see it as a warning to act quickly before things worsen. Others see it as a reason to step back and avoid escalation. The lack of clarity allows people to project their own fears and expectations onto it. That's how a single remark grows into something much larger. Katie never claimed to predict the future, yet her observation has become a lens through which everyone views the present, and once that lens is in place, it's difficult to remove. The question remains whether she truly foreshadowed something tragic, or whether the fear of tragedy will influence decisions in ways that make it more likely. Because perception shapes action. If people believe something bad is coming, they may act defensively, aggressively, or impulsively. Those actions can create the very outcomes they were trying to avoid. In that sense, the power of Katie's words lies not in prediction, but in influence. Hope begins to understand that the real danger may not be a specific event waiting to happen. It may be how everyone responds to the possibility of it. Still, the feeling doesn't disappear. Moments of quiet are interrupted by flashes of doubt. Conversations carry undertones of tension. Even ordinary decisions feel slightly heavier, as though they carry unseen consequences. Katie watches all of this unfold with mixed emotions. She wanted to bring awareness, but not anxiety. She wanted to encourage thoughtfulness, not fear. Yet she also knows that ignoring warning signs has never led to better outcomes. So she stands by the intention behind her words, even if she wishes they had landed differently. As time passes, the question remains unresolved. Did Katie sense something real, something others have yet to fully see? Or did her comments simply tap into existing tension and give it a voice? No one can answer that yet. But the atmosphere has changed. And sometimes, that shift alone is enough to set events in motion. Whether it leads to tragedy or transformation depends on what happens next, and how much weight people continue to give to a few carefully spoken words that refuse to be forgotten. The days that follow don't bring clarity, they deepen the unease. Katie notices it first in the small things, conversations that trail off too quickly, glances exchanged when certain names are mentioned, decisions delayed just long enough to suggest hesitation. It's as if everyone is waiting for something, even if no one can agree on what that something is. Hope tries to push forward, telling herself that she can't let one comment dictate her mindset, but awareness has already taken root. She starts second-guessing instincts that once felt natural. When opportunities arise, she weighs them longer than usual, wondering if there's a hidden cost she isn't seeing. That hesitation isn't obvious to others, but internally, it shifts her rhythm. Katie sees it and quietly worries. This wasn't her intention. She wanted Hope to be alert, not restrained. There's a difference between being thoughtful and becoming paralyzed, and Hope is drifting toward that line. Brooke, meanwhile, reacts in the opposite direction. Instead of slowing down, she becomes more forceful. To her, the best way to fight uncertainty is to take control. She doubles down on her opinions, pushes harder in conversations, and resists anything that feels like hesitation. If there's even a chance that events could spiral, she wants to steer them before they do. But control can look a lot like pressure, especially in an already tense environment. What Katie notices and doesn't like is how her words have split reactions rather than unified them. Hope is becoming more cautious. Brooke is becoming more aggressive. Others fall somewhere in between, each interpreting the warning in their own way. Instead of preventing chaos, it may be redistributing it. And that realization unsettles Katie more than the original concern ever did. She starts reflecting on the moment she spoke. What exactly did she see? It wasn't a single event. It was alignment. Too many unresolved issues converging at once. Too many strong personalities refusing to bend. Too many decisions being made quickly, defensively, without full consideration of consequences. That combination rarely leads anywhere good. But Katie also understands something else. Now, awareness alone doesn't fix those conditions. In fact, it can amplify them if people respond without coordination. Hope eventually returns to Katie, not with panic this time, but with questions. More specific ones. She wants to understand what patterns Katie recognized and how to break them instead of simply bracing for impact. That shift gives Katie a bit of relief. This is what she hoped for: engagement, not fear. They begin talking differently now. Not about what might happen, but about what can be changed. It's a subtle but important distinction. Instead of treating the future as something looming, they start treating it as something still flexible. Katie outlines the key patterns she's seen before: communication breaking down, assumptions replacing facts, pride overriding compromise, and decisions being made to win rather than to solve. None of these are dramatic on their own. But, together, they create momentum, and once momentum builds, it's hard to stop. Hope listens closely. This feels more useful than vague warnings. If those are the patterns, then maybe they can interrupt them. But interruption isn't simple. It requires people to act against instinct, to pause when they want to react, to listen when they want to defend, to compromise when they want to win. Hope isn't sure everyone is capable of that right now. Elsewhere, the ripple effect of Katie's comment continues in quieter ways. People are still talking, but now the tone has shifted from speculation to caution. Instead of asking, "What did she mean?" they're asking, "What should we do differently?" That's progress, but it's fragile. Brooke, however, remains resistant to that shift. To her, all this analysis feels like overcomplication. She believes problems should be confronted directly, not dissected endlessly. And while there's truth in that, Katie sees the risk direct confrontation without awareness of patterns often just repeats them. Their conversations become more pointed, not hostile but sharper. Brooke challenges Katie's caution, while Katie questions Brooke's urgency. Neither is entirely wrong, but neither is fully aligned either. And alignment is exactly what's missing. Hope starts noticing that too. That's not just about conflict, it's about fragmentation. Everyone is reacting individually, based on their own interpretation, instead of moving with any shared understanding. That fragmentation is what allows small issues to escalate quickly. If anything truly tragic were to happen, Hope begins to realize it wouldn't come out of nowhere. It would come from that lack of cohesion. That thought reframes everything. The danger isn't a sudden twist, it's a slow drift. Katie sees Hope reaching that conclusion and knows they're getting closer to something useful. Fear is less powerful when it's understood. Patterns are less dangerous when they're named. But naming them doesn't automatically stop them. That becomes clear when another tense situation arises smaller than the ones they've been discussing, but loaded with the same ingredients: miscommunication, assumption, defensiveness. It's like watching a miniature version of the larger dynamic play out in real time. Hope catches it immediately. This is what Katie meant. Instead of reacting the way she normally would, she pauses. She asks questions instead of making statements. She listens longer than she speaks. It's uncomfortable, even unnatural, but it changes the tone of the interaction. Not completely, not perfectly, but enough. The situation doesn't escalate. That moment matters more than it seems. Hope returns to Katie and shares what happened. There's a sense of cautious optimism now, not because everything is fixed, but because something different is possible. Katie feels it too. Maybe the point was never to predict a tragic twist. Maybe it was to recognize the conditions that create one and disrupt them before they fully take hold. Still, she doesn't let herself relax completely. Because not everyone is making that shift. Brooke continues to push forward with intensity. Others continue to interpret events through their own biases. And while some are becoming more aware, awareness isn't universal. That imbalance keeps the tension alive. Katie realizes that change won't come from one conversation or one insight. It will require consistency, repeated choices to act differently, even when it's harder. Hope seems willing to try. The question is whether others will meet her there. As the atmosphere slowly evolves, the original question lingers, but it may be not in the way people first assumed. Maybe she pointed to something quieter, more gradual, but just as significant the moment before things either fall apart or begin to shift. And that moment isn't over. It's still unfolding, shaped by every choice being made in response to a few words that, intentionally or not, forced everyone to look a little closer at what was already happening. Feels different now. Did Katie foreshadow a tragic twist?